What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Cybernetics. Today we're going to be getting into a top 5 video of things I wish I knew before I started playing for Dune Awakening. Whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just starting out, today we're going to dive into some really helpful tips to help you get started. And alright, let's get into it. Okay, so the first two things we're going to be talking about today are going to be the sandworms and the storms. Now, there are two different kinds of storms. You have the Coriolis storm and the sandstorm. So the sandstorm happens probably once every hour or so, and generally if you stay outside in it you will die slowly. You want to find some cover. Now the Coriolis storm is a little bit different. Now this storm, it usually gives you like a 6-hour warning, and it'll say, oh, a Coriolis storm will hit Arrakis in approximately 6 hours, for example, right? When this happens, it's not like the regular storm where you have to go find cover. You're gonna see in the sky this like big rotating cloud, basically like a hurricane. What the Coriolis storm does is it resets the land's rad, and it also resets all of the ore nodes like throughout the Haga Basin. And for example, sometimes, I'm not sure if this is a glitch, but sometimes it will recover certain parts of the sector on the map in the Haga Basin that you've already uncovered. This happened to my buddy. I'm not sure if this is a glitch or if this is planned, because it hasn't happened to me yet, but from what I understand, it does have the opportunity to recover certain parts of the map that were already uncovered. Now the best way to avoid the sandworm is by sticking to the rocky terrain. If you see this aggro bar here on the bottom start to pop up, then you know you're in the open sand. At that point you're going to want to turn back around and get back to rocky terrain where it's safe. Now if you choose to stay out in the open sand and ignore my warnings, what comes next is not very good. The sandworm will eventually come find you, eat you, and then when you die, there's no way of recovering any of your stuff. Any gear you had on you, on your person, in your inventory, or the vehicle's inventory that you were in, everything's gone forever. There is no way of recovering it. Alright, so let's move on to number 2, which is going to be a little bit of wisdom in the base building department. But essentially, especially when you're starting out, you're going to have to abandon your first base. It's part of the journey that you're going to go on, which is basically the main storyline quest. So it's not really worth putting too much time into in terms of aesthetic, making it look nice, or, unless you want to, unless you're okay with it being deleted later. But as far as what I did, I tried to make a simple base. It was like a 6x6. It was enough to get the ores that we needed, which is mostly copper and granite in the first starting area. And basically you're gonna want to invest most of your resources into finding water. Now the best way to find water, in my opinion, especially at the beginning, is going to be the blood bags and the exsanguination pistol, which is basically, it's just a really fancy gun that has a needle and like a pump and allows you to suck blood from corpses. And with that being said, we can then move on to the next thing, which is hydration. I cannot stress this enough. Hydration is everything in this game. Later on in the game, it won't be as important because you have better gear, better still suits, which we'll probably get into in another video. But at the start, 100% you're going to want to focus on hydration, finding ways to stay hydrated. With the blood bags, you also have the Dew Reapers. If you can get one in there early on, it's not easy. Maybe you have a friend who's in later game can come bring you one. But essentially you're going to be sucking the dew off of plants for a really long time. Basically until you can get your base up and running. You get a few blood purifiers going and a few cisterns, and then the hydration stops becoming such a big problem, especially when you get your still suit as well. Alright, let's move on to the map and survey probes. Now the best thing you're going to want to do immediately in the Haga Basin South, which is the starting area, you're going to want to try to get a survey probe and a survey probe launcher as quickly as humanly possible. And what that'll do is it'll uncover the entire sector I believe it's called Haga Basin South at the start. But once you uncover the sector, it'll uncover all of the outposts with the intel, the caves where you gotta go to get the microfiber and the EMF generators. It'll basically uncover everything in the entire sector, with a few exceptions. But generally speaking, it'll uncover everything. All right, and last but not least, it's not super important, but it's fairly important. It's going to be mobility and storage. So you're going to want maximum mobility at the start, considering you don't have a sand bike, you don't have the ornithopter, you don't have any way of getting around efficiently other than walking. So my biggest tip for movement would be to pick the trooper subclass, because it has the Shiga wire claw, which is basically, it's like a zip line. It also has the suspensor belts, which essentially make you weightless. So like for example, you can shoot the Shiga wire claw up in the air, and then as you're launching, you can activate your suspensor belt, and you will continue to fly in that direction until eventually you either run out of energy, or or you hit the ground, one or the other. And also storage, you're gonna want to try to build as much storage as possible without doing too much storage, because again, you're gonna have to abandon your base, and you're essentially gonna have to either transfer all of the stuff in your storage via your bike when you cross the Vermilius Gap. So with that being said, you're just going to want to have enough storage to where you can store your very critical components. So like your particle accelerators, your servox, your EMF generators, stuff like that. You're not going to need too much building materials at the start, so I wouldn't worry too much about granite. Copper is very important because you need it for water cisterns, you need it for weapons in the early game. So I would focus more on hydration first, then materials, resources for production. All right, and that about wraps it up for us. Just for a quick recap, we're just going to go down the list. Number one is sandworms and storms. Try to avoid them at all costs if possible. Number two is base building. Remember that you're going to have to ditch your first base, so try not to spend too much time on it. Number three, stay hydrated. Hydration. Number four, map and survey probes, super critical for your intel and your research points, all of that stuff. Also, number five, mobility and storage. Mobility is going to be super important because the longer you stay out there, the easier it is to be dehydrated. Also, storage, you're going to need storage in order to go on materials runs, go on intel runs, stuff like that. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe. If you guys have any ideas on any videos that you want me to do, go ahead and let me know. I can do guides on blood purifiers, maybe some spice harvesting, class builds. You guys let me know, and I'll catch you on the next video. You guys take care. It's been Cybernetics. Peace.